Sunday Love Boy Mules Ball. Oh, so we find ourselves at the very last book, Journal 3. Sorry, my truck is like at an incline. I had to like jump up here twice. Alrighty. A lot has changed. I'm currently living at Penny Lane. Penny Lane is a transitional housing apartment for men 18 years old to 25 years old. I'm currently 24. How did I get here? I did have a 2015 Ford Fusion, lost my job at Magnus Security, and had no way to make the $470 per month, so my car got repossessed. I was in San Diego and was planning to drive to Las Vegas. I don't know why. I was passing through Barstow and offered to work for Edward, my younger brother. I ended up working for Edward for a little bit. We ended up getting into an argument. I went to Edward and was done working for him, selling weed, and demanded that he paid me. He refused, so I kicked down the door, patted him down to see if he had money on him, and took $1,000 from him. He chased me out of town. I popped my tire, the driver's side back end, and fixed it. I drove to Los Angeles and lived out of my car and parked in front of a gym. One horrible day, I left my car parked in front of the gym and walked to the library. When I got back, the car was gone. My driver's license, EBT card, clothes, everything in the car was gone, including my birth certificate and my high school diploma. I walked really far to the EBT office. I believe it was like maybe an 8-hour walk in total, and felt, as soon as I showed up and was waiting in line, I felt like I was going to pass out, so I had them call an ambulance. I started like seeing colors and shit. Kind of looked like my new pillow. I told the EMT people that I wanted to kill myself, so they put me in a psychotic ward for 6 days. The hospital I was in referred me to a homeless shelter. After a few weeks, the homeless shelter referred me to a place that signed me up for transitional housing. I moved into Penny Lane. And then through Penny Lane, I started working at a Walgreens. Then I got my guard card license, and that was kind of ridiculous because like it kind of felt like they wanted me to almost like get enough progress so that they can put it down in a book and write it down in a piece of paper, but not actually progress to where I can get out of the system. So what I did, without telling anybody whatsoever, I just went out and I got my security guard card again, and I got myself a security job again. Let's see, I got my guard card license, and then I got an actual real job, because the Walgreens, I think that I was working like twice a week. So like the checks were like $200, $300, and how the fucking how is that gonna get me out of this system? You know, like living in this government housing. So that's what's been going on, ... Today I have the day off work. I woke up at 2:40 p.m., I drove to a Walmart and bought peanut butter, bread, oatmeal, coffee maker, a coffee, and a vacuum, this journal, G2 pens, a notebook, a small book called Minute Motivators by Stan Taller. I came back home, made some coffee, vacuumed my room, then walked to the store and bought some laundry detergent and some tape. So like now I'm like living inside. I think at this point I had a roommate, and it's a very small apartment that you're like living with like another person who's kind of your age. And I went out and I remember asking them like, hey, can I have like a coffee machine in my room? And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead and do that. Vacuumed my room, then I walked to the store, bought some laundry detergent and some tape. Once I got back home, I taped about 7 pieces of paper together that I called Project 2007 Kia. Just something to track all the payments on my car. Oh wow, so yeah, it took me a while to get this journal, I guess. But while I was in the system, I guess I got enough money to get the guard card. I finished up all my units working at the Walgreens, which was crazy because apparently I was the only person to finish all the units. Units is just like you're working the job, and then like you're supposed to work for like, I don't know, like a year or something like that. And then I got my security job, and then I saved up enough money to buy a car, the 2007 Kia Spectra 5, and the car cost $6,000. So I put something up on my wall to track all the payments to eventually pay it off. After I got the computer, I paid my library card and I owed $35. I lost the book called Think and Grow Rich. Then I rented 2 books to pick up about the stock market of 2008, the Great Depression. Then I worked on my YouTube channel and fell asleep around 5 a.m. Next day, I woke up around 2 p.m., got up and went to Chase Bank and tried to open another bank account, but was unsuccessful. I came back home, ate some food, and then watched some YouTube videos until I fell asleep at 1:45 a.m. I woke up around 11 a.m., made some coffee, and listened to the autobiography by Benjamin Franklin. About 12:30, I shaved my face, getting ready for work. Then at 1 p.m., I recorded a YouTube episode, began uploading it, then took a shower, headed to work. I arrived at work, put gas in my car, put $180 in my bank account, the Bank of America account, for my car insurance that's due on the 3rd, and then washed, vacuumed my car. I showed up to work at 3:30, 30 minutes early. I had a normal day and went home. Once home, I stayed up till about 2 a.m. watching YouTube videos and then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 1:50, made some coffee, ate my last 2 pieces of bread with some peanut butter on it, and my last pack of oatmeal. Then I went to the computer lab and started making an application. After I left my apartment and drove to my resting/thinking spot, which was about 5 minutes down the road from an LA Fitness, and waited till 3 p.m. so I could start my drive to work. Once I was at work, I left like 10 minutes early to my break, pulled out $20 of my trunk and went to the McDonald's up the street. I had a Big Mac, a double quarter pounder, 20 chicken nuggets, and 2 large Cokes. After I stayed in my car, parked where none of the parking attendants / cameras could see me, and I journaled for a bit. I don't know how I feel about today. I think that the main reason is how much I eat and how overweight I am. I wish that I could cook my own food, but I don't have a kitchen, and I wish that I could work out, but I can't because all the gyms are closed due to COVID-19. Since that I am in my car waiting for S1 to call over the radio for me to take my 30-minute break in 15 minutes. From now, allow me to tell you about my work. Type of work, security. Address, what am I guarding? 2 10-story buildings, 4 parking lots, and Beacon Street. Who all works with me? It's B5, B4, B6, B3, and S1. For this job, I kind of like it. It's a lot of standing, but it's worth it. The paycheck, I am also waiting for August 20th to see if I make the grace period. So it's like a 90-day grace period, and I remember I was having like massive anxiety about this because I got fired from a job before, at Valley View Casino. They just let me go on the 90th day. So I remember like every single day that I was standing out on that corner, it's just like I was just worrying about it. See if I make the grace period, then I will have worked here for 90 days. I finished my work a day and went home. Once I got back home, I took a little money box out of my trunk and put it in my room because I am spending too much money on fast food. I currently have $880. And it's more money than I have right now. I woke up about 9 a.m. This is early for me. Went to my insurance people and tried to switch cards to make my monthly payment, but was unsuccessful. Then I went to the library and picked up the 2 books that I placed. One is What is the Great Depression by Janet B. Pascal, and the other was The Big Short by Michael Lewis. Oh shit. After I went to Zoo Culture, a gym made by a YouTuber called Bradley Martin. He had an event with about 1,000 people there. After I went to work and tried to finish the book I had been reading, Minute Motivator, so I could start my new books, but did not finish it. Next day, I thought I would start my day perfect. I really want to incorporate a daily schedule into my day. I wanted to wake up, take a shower, brush my teeth, brush my hair, and start teaching myself to groom myself. Real basic stuff. I looked at my bank balance and the $180 that I put in the other day to pay my car insurance, which would be paid tomorrow, was only $168. Someone stole money from my account again. So I took out the $160 and opened a Chase bank account, that one Bank of America. Then I went to my relaxation place behind the LA Fitness and journaled. After journaling, I went to work. When it came around to be my lunch, I drove to McDonald's and ate, not knowing I had lost the $160. I went back to work and finished reading What was the Great Depression. After work, I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up and felt super sluggish, angry, and just upset. I feel like I can't do anything, like physically. I can't count. I can't even move. I can't work out. The only thing I'm deadly devoted to is eating fast food. I recorded a meditation video, number 24, and uploaded it. After I wanted to go to Walmart to buy some stuff, but then I found out that I lost my money. I took $225 out of the money that I had been saving, drove to my Bank of America, called my insurance guy, and made the payment. After I went to Carl's Jr.'s, got a burger, 18 jalapeno poppers, and a large Coke. After eating, I drove to work. One of the guys at work left early, so I had to do his work. After work, I stayed out for a bit, then went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up and had a day off, so I went for a short jog, came back home, watched some YouTube videos. It's a shelter apartment, it's like a studio apartment that I live in. Woke up around 11:30 p.m., had a monthly meeting with my counselor. We talked about real estate, but the meeting was all useless. I drank half a bottle of vodka, made a meditation video, and uploaded it after I felt woozy. Next day. It was my second day off, so I slept in. My EBT card refilled, so I walked to the liquor store across the street, pulled out $200. Then I bought a Red Bull energy drink for work tomorrow, a pack of cookies, and an Arizona. Once I got back home, I ate all the cookies, watched some YouTube videos, and then fell asleep. I woke up at around 11 p.m. and then eventually fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at around 12 p.m., put on my slacks, and went to a Japanese place that accepts EBT. I got chicken, shrimp, rice, 2 spring rolls, and a Pepsi. Then I drove to my thinking space and ate. After eating, I took a nap, played a game on my phone, and then went to work. Once I was at work, I talked to B3 for a bit. Then once he went home, I sat in my car and journaled for a bit. After I read a book that I got from the library, Big Short, and got to chapter 2, 35 pages, before my supervisor told me that I couldn't read at work. I finished the workday and went home. Once I got home, I recorded a meditation video, uploaded it, and fell asleep. I woke up at 12 p.m., organized my room, took a shower, put on my slacks, and left to the Japanese place. And the Japanese place that I like to eat at. While walking up to the door, I found $20 bill on the ground, and I got my food, went to my thinking place, and ate. About the time I was leaving there, 2 guys with an electric skateboard and a drone were recording. Once I got to work, I read some more. I got caught up with reading again, so I put my book back in my car. I continued my duties, and at the end of the day, my shift, B6 said that he wanted to quit and go traveling the states. Oh yeah, he quit. I did this before. I had a nice studio apartment in Arizona. My lease was ending, so I quit out of the blue, emptied my apartment, and traveled to 48 states. That is what started me on a downward spiral of gaining weight. I'm now 300 plus pounds and beginning homeless. I kept my travels to myself, but we will see if he actually goes. I finished up my work and went to 7-Eleven and bought 2 boxes of orange chicken, cheesecake, a gordita, and an egg sandwich, and then went home and ate. After I watched some YouTube videos and then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up about 11:30, put on my slacks, went straight to Carl's Jr. After I ate, I went to 7-Eleven and got 6 lotto tickets, the Mega Millions, Powerball, Daily 3 and 4, and the Fantasy 5. Then I went to my thinking spot and filled them out. They were filled out. I put them in the sun visor in the car. I relaxed for a bit and then went to work. Once I was at work, I picked up my check and got $858. I get paid every 14 days, so bi-weekly. 5 p.m. came, but B6 didn't show up to work, so I had to secure the E lot instead of Beacon Street. I forgot to mention before work, I went to a self-serve car wash right up the street from my work and took the $20 that I found on the ground and exchanged it for dollar coins. I washed my car and then went to work. Now at 8:42 p.m., I was looking at the dollar coins and I was surprised to see the diversity of people on the coins. Usually on coins like 1 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, 25 cent, it's only one president. Example, Abraham Lincoln is all pennies. But so many different presidents were on the dollar coin. I had dollar coin with Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Andrew W. Jackson, John Adams, James K. Polk, Andrew Jackson, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and 2 different women without their names on the coin. I finished up work, a little orange signal popped up on my dashboard that looked like an exclamation point. It worried me, so I pulled over and flipped through the owner's manual to find out what it was, and thankfully it was just the tire pressure gauge. So I went to the gas station and filled all my tires up to about 30 psi. Oh, the tires up to about 50 psi. They were all at 30 psi. After I went to a place and cashed my checks, after I went home and put the money in my lockbox and then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at about 11 a.m., got a call from a place that I applied to a while ago, saying that they had a position open if I wanted it. I work at security so I work from 4 p.m. till 11 a.m. and at the place who's calling me up, it would be at 11:30 p.m. till 7 a.m. This means that most days I would be working 16 hours a day. I went to my car and there was a parking violation ticket for $93 because I parked in the red. I went to the security office and picked up my security shirts. Then I went to Bank of America and deposited $100 to pay off my parking ticket violation, and I did. I went to Carl's Jr., got 2 burgers, 8 jalapeno poppers, and a large cup. I went to my thinking spot and ate. After I went to work, B6 didn't show up again, So at 7 p.m. I went over and guarded the employee lot. After working at AAPS, I went to my other security job at ANS. So starting now, I'm working 16 hours a day. It was at Sportsman Lounge from 11 p.m. till 7:30 p.m. All I had to do was sit in a chair and watch a dark parking lot. After I went straight home and then fell asleep. Next day, I slept for 5 hours and then brushed my teeth, showered, trimmed my nails, and got back in the car. I went to Walmart and bought a whole bunch of Bumblebee snacks on the run. It's like tuna and cracker salad. Then I went to Carl's Jr., got a burger, 9 jalapeno poppers, and a Coke. Then I went to work at AAPS. I was super angry all shift because the supervisor was an asshole. No reading, he said. I remember that guy. He had like a mustache. I mean, like just a mustache, and then like the whole thing shaved. Oh, no reading, he said. I finished up my shift at AAPS, and then I drove straight to my second job and began my duties of manning the parking lot. At around 4:30 a.m., I asked the post commander if I could work the inside of the hotel, and he said yes. I manned the 4th and the 5th floor, and it was horrible. It was super hot because I was wearing the nylon security jacket. I was wearing the jacket because I didn't want to make an effort to put on button-up uniform, so I just had to put on the jacket, and the 5th and 4th floor smelled like trash. I quickly asked to be transferred to the parking lot and did so. At around 7 a.m., a crane arrives, so I got all the people to move their cars, and it was delivered. The hotel is under construction. I finished up my shift and quickly went home and fell asleep. Next day, I didn't do much since I had the day off. I walked to the liquor store, bought a huge bottle of vodka. I came back, snuck the bottle into my room. Keep in mind, I'm currently living in a free transitional housing and drank a big cup. Honestly, the Sky vodka that I got wasn't the best. It made me feel super tired. I washed my laundry and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at about 11 a.m., ate about 7 snack tuna things, and watched YouTube for about 5 hours. Then I started to get ready for work. I worked from 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. I worked the shift and then went home and fell asleep. So that day I had work at job number 2, but I didn't have work at job number 1, so I just worked later on in the day. Next day, I slept for a few hours, got in my car, and then went to work. I worked from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. and then went to my other job at the homeless hotel. I worked my first ever night as a supervisor. I basically just made sure that everybody, 5 guards, got their lunch and everything went smoothly. I got home and fell asleep. I can't believe I got to be a supervisor. Good for you, Paul. Yeah. Next day, I woke up and I got my sleep and went straight to work. I worked from 4 p.m. to 11 a.m. and then drove to my second job and then worked from 11:30 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. and headed home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up, shaved and showered, thank God, grabbed $3 coins and asked the staff lady at the place that I live in if she could make some copies of my time sheets at ANS, and she did. I drove to McDonald's, got 2 burgers and a Coke, and headed to work. I started and worked from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. Then I went to ANS and then worked an 8-hour shift. After I went home, I went straight home and fell asleep. Next day I woke up and I felt super tired. I grabbed $6 from my change and went to McDonald's and got 2 hamburgers, a thing of ice and coffee. Once I showed up at work, L1 was working. There was an outdoor restaurant that the 94 lot was renting, and when they left, they left a beer in ice chest, and you bet your sweet ass I drank it. After working, I drove to my second job. Everything went smoothly. I got home and then fell asleep. Next day, I was late. Since it was Wednesday, I work at 5 p.m., but apparently I ignored my alarm and woke up at 4:50 p.m. and traffic is a bitch in Los Angeles. Fuck. I quickly rushed to work and showed up at 5:45 p.m. What is even more crazy is that tomorrow I don't work tomorrow or the day after. Is my 90th day. So tomorrow of the day that I was late was like my 90th day. As soon as I showed up, I drove to McDonald's, got 2. Oh yeah, so on Wednesday, today I worked the E lot, so I don't have to like be inside the building and all that shit. So I would basically, technically, they were really pushing for, you gotta park your car outside of the E lot, which is the employee lot, but it's like I'm an employee. But what I would do, so I showed up, I went to the McDonald's right down the street, I got a whole bunch of food, and then I just park inside the E lot, and then I just fall asleep, and then I wake up later. About 8:30, I heard an accident happen on Beacon, and so I walked over, made sure that it wasn't any of our employees. It wasn't, so I waited till the police and EMT showed up, then went back to my car. After work, I went home, fell asleep. Next day, I couldn't sleep at 5 a.m. I went to Walmart and bought some sleeping pills, a whole bunch of tuna cracker things, some fish oil, socks, and 10 cans of Monster. I got back home and took 4 sleeping pills and slept almost all day. At about 11 p.m., I woke up, Jesus, and fell back to sleep. I woke up at about 6 p.m., watched some YouTube videos, made some coffee, took a shower, made a YouTube video. I'm currently at 1,800 subscribers. Good for you. I left my apartment at 11 p.m., got to work. It is currently 11:30 and things are going smoothly. At 7:30 a.m., I got off work and then went home and fell asleep. I woke up quickly, put on my slacks and drove to McDonald's, got a double quarter pounder and a Coke and drove to work. I ate my burger, and on the way, once I showed up, I felt like I was on drugs. It was probably because I took sleeping pills, and 6 hours earlier I completed my shift and went to my next job. Put on my button up and drove to work. It was Saturday, Sunday, so I was the supervisor, and at 7:30 I forgot this journal, my book, and my clipboard at work. I went home and fell asleep. I woke up, took a shower, headed to AAPS, and I had a normal day, and at 11 I headed to ANS. I showed up and found my clipboard was gone. I made sure that everyone was at their post and began journaling. After I conducted my duties as supervisor, I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up, made sure that I had a screenshot of the debt collector's info that I got from my credit report, brought both of my phones with no data and a ZTE with data. I took $600, deposited it into my Bank of America, called the debt collector, and paid off the $505 for my doctor bill from Barstow in full. Okay, good for you, Paul. You paid it off. Nice. Then I went to the security office and picked up my check. It was only half the check for $480 and went straight to work. I showed up, worked from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. and then went to my second job and worked from 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. After work, I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up on my last alarm, put on my slacks, and went to work. I picked up my check from AAPS for $900. We got a new guy, and he seems all right. So the old B6, he quit. He left. So I guess he did go and travel. Good for him. I worked a normal shift, went to ANS, had a good shift, left at 7:30 a.m., and went home, fell asleep. Next day, I woke up and drove all the way till PLS and cashed both my checks. It's like a cash checking place. And got $1,440. So that's like both checks from both jobs. And then I put damn ... I drove out to work. I went to a 7-Eleven, got sandwiches, 2 slices of pizza, and a gallon of water. Then I sat in the E-lot and watched YouTube videos. After work, I went straight home because I didn't have to work at ANS. Once I got home, because it's my day off, I went to the liquor store, got some Fireball whiskey. Then I got to my apartment and ended up drinking the whole bottle and passed out. Oh my God. I woke up next day. I woke up really late in the day and was a little bit hungover. Jesus. So I just relaxed for the most part of the day. Then after that night, I rearranged my room after I fell asleep. Next day, I left the house about 6:30 a.m., went to McDonald's, ate. Then after, I went to Walmart and bought a whole bunch of tuna snacks things, 6 gallons of water, bleach, a new toothbrush, a loofah, and floss for my teeth. Afterwards, I went to Chase Bank and ordered a debit card because mine never came in the mail. I then walked to the Bank of America, deposited $400 in the ATM, and withdrew 380 and the ATM and withdrew $383.48. For my car payment. I drove to Discount Auto Sales and made the car payment that was due for tomorrow. After that, I drove to the library and returned what was the Great Depression, drove home and renewed The Big Short. After I fell asleep and went to work at 11:30 p.m. After work, I went home and then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 2 p.m., put on my slacks, made up my room, and headed out the door. I worked at AAPS from 4 p.m. till 11 p.m., then drove 20 minutes to ANS and performed the duties of supervisor, went home, and then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up, organized my room, grabbed my Monster energy drink, drove to cash my extra check. I don't know how it came to be, but I got a random check for $180. I went to the place where I cashed my checks and then went to the car wash, washed my car, vacuumed my car. After I went to AAPS and worked from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. Then after I went to ANS and worked from 11:30 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. After I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 2:30 p.m., which was my last alarm for me to head out to work. I showed up at AAPS on time. I worked from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. and headed to ANS at the Sportsman Lounge Hotel and worked from 11:30 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. After, I went straight home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up, I didn't take a shower, and went to work. I worked from 4 p.m. till 11 p.m. and then went to my other work. I had a normal shift and then went home and fell asleep. Next day, I got woken up by staff to have a mandatory meeting. We had the meeting and it was about the guys hanging out in front. Apparently some of the guys in the program upset a gang member and they tagged the front of the building CST. After that, I got ready for work and headed out. I completed both jobs, then went home and fell asleep. Next day, I didn't do much today. I just enjoyed myself some vodka and relaxed all day. Next day, I had most of the day off, but I worked later tonight. I woke up, went to Van Nuys and got information on how to order a new birth certificate and drove to Sun Valley and wanted to check my mailbox, but it was surprisingly empty, but it was well worth the drive because I saw Jay Leno pass by in one of his older cars. I went back home and fell asleep for a few hours. Once I woke up, I went to In-N-Out, got 2 hamburgers, 2 fries, a Coke, and a milkshake. Then I went to work. After work, I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 1:30 p.m., did my YouTube programming, headed out the door, and went to AAPS from 4 p.m. to 11 a.m. and then after I headed to ANS and worked from 11:30 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. After I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 2 p.m., did my YouTube programming, and left out the door. It got up to 109 degrees, so it was super hot. Once I got to work, I was soaked my security jacket in water to cool off. After work, I went, and then I dried out. I remember I soaked my jacket, and then like it dried off because it was that hot. After work, I went to work, performed my duties as supervisor, and read my new book from the library called Innovators by Walter Isaacson. I managed to get to page 81, not in one day, but I got in a few days ago. After work, I went straight home and then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 2 p.m., did my YouTube programming, and then headed out to work. It's Labor Day, so I got paid more than my $15 per hour. I worked at AAPS, worked from 4 p.m. till 11 p.m., and then I worked to ANS from 11:30 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. After, I went straight home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 12 and went to the EBT office because I lost my EBT card. Thankfully, they gave me a new one right there, so that was cool. I then went to PLS, the place where I cash my checks, and cashed my check after I went to work. After both works, I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up, went to the place where I bought my car, and got my free oil change. While they were working on my car, I walked next door where there was a car wash. The car wash was huge, had a huge sign. That sign was making a shadow on the ground where there was AstroTurf, fake grass. I laid in the shade until my car was done. Once my car was done, I went to work. My supervisor needed to borrow $20. The guy who told me not to read at work because he was out of gas, but I was like, I'm actually like a really mature, like helpful, like I'm a nice guy, so I was just like, I let him borrow $20. I could have said, nah, sorry, I don't bring money, but I gave him $20 because he was out of gas, and I happily loaned him the money. After work, I bought a bottle of Fireball whiskey, went home, and washed my clothes. After washing my clothes, I made a YouTube video and then uploaded it. I also took the time to read. I got to page 156 after I vacuumed, organized my room, and then fell asleep. Next day, I slept all day and didn't do anything. Next day, I woke up about 5 a.m., went to McDonald's, Carl's Jr. Once I got back home, I took 3 sleeping pills and then slept. Later that night, I went to work. Next day, I woke up, cashed my $1,000 check, went to work, went to my second work, and then went home. Next day, woke up at 1 p.m. and went to Walmart and bought new shoes with my EBT card. Then I went to work number 1 and then went to work number 2. After I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up, picked up the other books I reserved, went to work 1, went to work 2, went home. Next day, I woke up, went to the Japanese food place, ate on my way to work. It was Wednesday, so I got to work the E-lot, which means that I slept in my car for the majority of the workday. Then I went home, made a YouTube video, then I took a well-needed shower and then fell asleep. Next day, it was my day off, so I took 3 sleeping pills and slept all day. Next day, I woke up at 5 a.m., made coffee, drank it, made a YouTube video public, walked over to the computer lab, did my YouTube programming. I currently have 2,600 subscribers. I pulled out $300 from my money box, went to my Chase Bank debit, and brought my Chase Bank debit card with me. I have until 10 a.m. for this glasses place to open up. If they don't have the frames that I want, then I will just deposit the $300 into my bank. I left my apartment at 6:30, organized / cleaned my car, went to Walmart, got a big salad and ate, as well got tuna snacks and my EBT card, and I made an appointment with the eyeglass place. Next day, I woke up and I felt sick. I didn't think anything of it, but as the day went on, I felt horrible. It is still the time of the coronavirus is active, so at both works I had to try my best to not let anyone know that I was sick, because I need work to get money. I went home and then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up maybe two and a half hours of sleep and attended a house meeting at 11 a.m. The meeting ended at 11:30 a.m. Then I got dressed, drove to LensCrafters, and did my eye exam and picked out some Ray-Bans, which are actually these ones. Prescription glasses that cost me $371. After I drove to A&S, picked up my $998 check, I went to PLS, cashed it, and then went to my work. I slept for about 4 hours, got some Dayquil, and finished my workday at AAPS. Then I drove to A&S, worked a full shift. I got to page 443 in the book Innovators and almost done with it. Next day, I woke up at 2:15 p.m., did my YouTube programming, then I drove to work, and once the coast was clear, I slept for about 4 hours. I drank the rest of the Dayquil. I bought and finished up my work. I went to my second work at A&S, the Sportsman Lounge, and then finished up and went home. Next day, I woke up at 3 p.m., did my YouTube programming, went to my lockbox and pulled out $400, drove to Bank of America and deposited it. After, I went to Carl's Jr. and got a burger, jalapeno poppers, and a Coke. I got to work and finished the book Innovators by Walter Isaacson and started the book called Money by Ritter Lawrence, 1984. I got to page 54. After work, I went home, went to the library and returned the book Innovators and washed my clothes, did my YouTube programming, and then fell asleep. Next day, I just slept all day. Next day, I woke up at 7 a.m., ate breakfast, went to Chase Bank, and tried to apply for a credit card, but I got denied. Then I tried to get a new government phone, but was unsuccessful. I did, however, open a savings account through Chase and pulled out $383.48 for my car payment. After I went home and fell asleep, I woke up at 10 p.m., got ready for work, and arrived on time. I got to read the whole shift and got to page 141. After work, I drove home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up about 2 p.m., organized my room, made a YouTube video, where of the wall of my bedroom. Then I went to work at AAPS, got my check for $980. I finished my work and went to my second job. Afterwards, I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 11:30 p.m., showered, organized my room, and then put $20 in gas in my gas tank. I went to work number 1, went to work number 2, then went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 1 p.m. I had to get up a little earlier because I needed a phone. I went to a free phone place from like a government thing, gave them my EBT card and driver's license, and after sitting in the heat, it was about 100 in Van Nuys today for about 40 minutes, but I got the phone. I went to first work and felt a little tired, but then at my second work and felt the most tired I have ever felt, probably due to the only 4 hours of sleep. Next day, I woke up at 2 p.m., went straight to work, and around my lunchtime applied for a Curacao credit card and got approved. This was hugely important for me. They said that it's going to take a little bit for it to show up at my house. The main thing that I will be able to build my credit. It was cool because they also gave me a gift. It was a bag and a multi-purpose tool. After first work, I went to second work. After first work, I went to second work and I finished the book called Money by Ritter. 300 pages. Next day, I woke up surprisingly early since work was at 5 p.m. The surprising part is I woke up at 12 and couldn't even fall back to sleep. I got up, got some food. Penny Lane gives free daily cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner. After I ate, the main reason why I wouldn't eat it typically is because by the time I got off at work, it was 7:30 a.m. So it was just like I'm not gonna take the time to go eat. Like I really need to sleep, After I ate, I got all the money and deposited it into my Chase Bank. Available balance for my checking and savings account was $4,188. This is the most money that I've ever had. The good old days. After I went to Bank of America and deposited $180, once I get my new card, I will be able to pay my car insurance. After I went to the post office and changed my address. Next day, I didn't do much but sleep all day. Next day, I finished up washing my clothes, making enough for the week, and I received my new debit card, went to work. And I guess I just started a new. Next day, woke up at 12. I called to try to cancel the new phone that I got that I broke. What is that? Is that a candy wrapper? I see something moving and it's probably the wind, but you never know. Canceled. I got that. I broke, but that didn't work, so I drove to the pop-up tents that they give out the free phones at, I got my wallet home, drove across the street, finished the book History, then I returned that book and money After I went to work 1, then worked 2, then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up, drove to the free phone place, but that didn't work out. Then I read some of the book Mastery by Robert Greene, went to work number 1, then work number 2, then went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 1 p.m., put all my work clothes, did my YouTube programming, drove to the security office, picked up my check for $960, went to PLS and cashed it. Then I almost ran out of gas, pulled into the gas station, put 2 gallons in my car. I wanted to deposit $800 into my Chase Bank, but it was pressed for time. I was pressed for time, so I got on the freeway and headed to work. I showed up at 3:43. It's a little close, and started at 4 p.m. like normal. My feet hurt a lot today, so I'm going to have to buy some Dr. Scholl's. I finished my work at AAPS and then drove 20 minutes to my second job at Sportsman Lounge. Afterwards, I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 1 p.m., drove to the free phone tents, but they couldn't help me. So I went to the insurance place that I have for my car and canceled it. Then I drove to a Walmart and bought some Dr. Scholl's for my shoes, some detergent, some Gold Bond for my feet, some body soap, and then went to Chase Bank and deposited the rest of my money. Now I have $4,600. I drove up the street that is my new resting thinking place and opened my new credit card, the Curacao. On my break, I went to Curacao and bought 2 boxes of face masks, 100 in total. After first work, I went to my second job. I had a pretty normal day, and right after work, I went home and fell asleep. Next day, I woke up, went to AAPS, then went home and slept. Next day, I didn't do much all day, but sleep. Next day, I woke up, washed my clothes, ate breakfast, and just slept until I had work at 11:30. I went to work and had a normal shift. Once I got home, I fell asleep. Next day, I went to first work, then second work, then fell asleep. Next day, I woke up at 2 p.m., went to the bank, went to first job, and at the Lakers won. I work right next to the Staples Center, so there was a lot of traffic, but I still got to my second job on time. I think that we're gonna go ahead and cut it right there. Yeah.